JJK is like the Sydney Sweeney of anime. At this point, everyone's seen it. Fun fact, JJK is actually the first anime I ever reviewed, just right before I became a degenerate. And I don't usually cover mainstream animes. I feel they've already gotten the recognition they deserve. But it would be foul for me to not say anything about the masterpiece we just saw. They did it the first season, then the next, and now they've done it again. The culling game is the focus in this season of JJK. It is essentially a game of Fortnite, created by someone who's really old. What the fuck? JJK readers get slandered for being illiterate, and I think it's fair, cause what even is this? Where's the fighting? This wasn't promised to me in season 1. I voted solo leveling for anime of the year. I find it amusing that JJK progressively gets more technical as the story goes on. I don't think I've even heard much of the narrator's voice in season 1, but it starts becoming episodic at some point. Like you got to lock in some of the scenes. Your eyes better be darting across the screen, following every line, every movement. You know it's bad when they had to dedicate a whole episode trying to explain the rules. What the fuck is this? I can read! But it's not even a matter of literacy. It's just too much information stuffed inside our low cortisol minds all too sudden. But the anime makes it so much easier to understand. I'd imagine reading the manga and pulling out a notepad so you have a mind map of everything going on. Huh, I guess they read my mind. They piece it all together so you know what's what and who's what, and if you still can't keep up, screw it. Just act like you know what's going on. It's like pretending you heard what someone else just said. Sometimes you just gotta nod and say fuck it, you know? Let it ride! Mappa has a bad rap for its working conditions. I remember the staff almost rage quit during the production of season 2. It was bad. Animators weren't treated well, episodes weren't complete. People even joked about hiding fan animators from Mappa. Those were the days when Mappa would take on any big project, regardless of the strain on their staff or schedule, and it backfired. We weren't happy, the Japanese weren't happy. It came to a point where animators were actively avoiding the studio for jobs, so they slowed it down, spaced out releases a bit more, and brought in a shit ton of freelance animators. Now it's quality over quantity. You can actually see it transcend into the scenes. Who the hell spends this much time animating tying shoelaces? It feels unnecessary, but that just shows how they're not compromising anything. Let's turn a few normal panels into a badass standoff. For 3 seasons, we've seen the art style change again and again and again, and still, it doesn't feel weird. Shota Gozo Shono is the man responsible. Once he took over season 2, it was like BAM! Episodes became masterpieces. Action scenes were more experimental, and those same aspects were carried over. You see them trying out different animation styles to match different scenes. They even rotoscoped, which is not really a style the industry nor the fans are really fond of, but they made it work. And when the aspect ratio gets cropped, it feels like you're watching a movie. Sometimes I'll have moments where I don't even feel like I'm watching the same show. This is why I love anime, man. Even if you've read the manga and you know what's gonna happen, Mappa would gamble with different animation styles to blow your expectations out the water. And they do this throughout the entire season. They're just having fun at this point. I think this goes to show that when you give creators more time to create and not slam a copyright in their face, maybe they could create something special. You know, upon making this video, I kept thinking, what's the best episode in this season? If I had to convince someone who dropped JJK, what's the one episode I would show them? And it's tough picking one out from a stacked season. The first episode was phenomenal. It literally drags you back into the action with bits of symbolism and self-reflection thrown in there. What about the Higuruma episode? That was beautiful. You learn to empathize with the characters alongside a mesmerizing battle. Or even the last episode where everyone's domain maxing. Man, there's just so much to choose from. But I think we can all agree which episode stands at the top. Perfect Preparation is hands down the best episode of the season, and honestly, I'd even say it's the best episode in Jujutsu Kaisen. The feminists love it, the Naoya haters love it. There's so much to love about this episode. You see the references they use throughout the fights, and the emotional parting between the two sisters. They even had some of the biggest names in the industry working together in this episode. Just look at the amount of animators, they fucking went nuts! Holy shit! No doubt, this was perfect. Season 3 introduced a lot of characters. There's a guy with a propeller on his head, a comedian capable of defeating the Honored One, John Zanin, this, I don't even know what she does, and a guy that could recreate anything off a receipt. Huh, joke's on you, Trump, now I'll never have to worry about oil. And also, you know, this guy. There's so many new characters and also a lot of depth. We got to see Yuji coming to terms with his involuntary sins, and Megumi looking more like his father. I don't know, I think he's got a lot of potential. Man. One of the things the anime is really good at is immersing the viewers in the lives of new characters. Higuruma only appeared for 2 episodes, but the anime took its time introducing him not just as another character, but a person, a human. It's something that was once the core of JJK. It's why Yuji wanted to be a sorcerer and what led to everything up until this point. And I think the anime did a wonderful job in adapting it. Because how does 3 minutes about 2 unknown characters end up being the most emotional scene in this season? It's 100 JJK fans versus aren't I a genius? Shit bro, even pandas cry too. Again, I think this goes back to the director and his vision to make every scene stand out as much as possible, whether it be the compositions he uses, or the flashes of images, or even just a simple scene about a mother reuniting with her son. It's simply beautiful.
なぜだ虎杖裕二なぜ罪を認めた
私がいる限りマキあんたは一生半端もない分かったから戻れよはい起きてはい正道あの人僕のお母さんじゃない
はあよく分かったな
そうじゃないかと思ったぜ天才だろ
I believe music is magic. After all, it has the power to take any given scene and give it life, emotions. In fact, it's one of my main focuses in making a video, and throughout my years of watching anime, I've found some really gifted composers. Evan Call with his astounding orchestral music. Hiroyuki Sawano makes it feel like you could defeat a god, while Kensuke Oshio is quiet and intimate. These guys are some of my favorites, and I've come to see a pattern in their music, but I can never really grasp what JJK music is. Sometimes it's piano, others it's glitchy and orchestral. Yoshimasa Teru is the musical mastermind behind all 3 seasons of JJK, and with all 3 seasons, I can never quite figure out the style of music he leans toward. I feel like every episode, he surprises me with something completely different than what I was expecting. The edit you saw in Perfect Preparation was my vision of how the scene would unfold, but in the original, you get this very funky, almost cowboy-esque music. It's such an interesting mix. And then you have the Yuji fight with Higuruma, where he completely transforms it into something much more delicate and personal. It wasn't just a fight anymore, it became a beautiful moment where both characters were at their most vulnerable. I don't know how much of this was the director's vision or this was purely Yoshimasa's genius on display. The opening was pure chaos. It's fast and rock. It feels like you've been thrown into a game and there's no way out. And then the ending hits and it's soft and reflective. Read into the lyrics and you're taking a peek into Yuji's mental state. It's the perfect contrast and I'm gonna miss it. JJK fights are peak. It's arguably the main reason why people watch this anime and get cranky when they get none. I remember Gojo serving that Black Friday special, Sukuna and Mahoraga going nuclear in Shibuya, and Yuji and Choso going at it in the toilet. Fights are a JJK staple. They've been going off every season, and this season's no different. They popped off as soon as the first episode, like... action scenes are where adaptations thrive because there's so much constraint when drawn on a piece of paper. And they don't just adapt it as it is. There's actual choreography embedded, so it feels like a sin to watch these fights blow by without acknowledging how many months went into them. There's angles and camera movements. This is not even anime anymore. It's absolute cinema. I'll miss it, man. I will miss everything this season has brought. The hype, the memes, the edits. With every JJK season, I feel the anime community stronger than ever. Whether it's shitting on manga readers, or making funk edits, or even just seeing the characters go through the most depressing moments of their lives. I gotta say, let's just LARP. I don't even know what that means.